Your value is not determined by someone else's attention, approval, or acknowledgement. This truth is a cornerstone of personal freedom and empowerment. Yet, it's often the hardest to internalize because humans are naturally wired for connection and validation. In a world where instant communication is the norm, the absence of a call or message can feel like a glaring rejection, triggering a cascade of doubts and insecurities. You may find yourself questioning your worth, wondering what you did wrong, or trying to decode the silence as if it holds a deeper meaning. This reaction is not uncommon, but it is also not productive. The truth is that external validation, whether it comes in the form of a text, a call, or verbal affirmation, can never truly define your worth. Your worth exists independently of anyone else's behavior or opinion. It is intrinsic, a part of your being that cannot be diminished or enhanced by someone's lack of attention. When someone fails to reach out, it's not a reflection of your value, it's a reflection of their choices, priorities, and circumstances. Unfortunately, we often mistake someone's actions as a mirror of our self-worth. If they don't call or message, we assume it's because we're not important enough, interesting enough, or lovable enough. But the reality is that their silence often says more about them than it does about you. Maybe they're distracted, preoccupied, or emotionally unavailable. Maybe they're struggling with their own issues or simply lack the capacity to engage in a meaningful way. Whatever the reason, it is not your responsibility to interpret their silence as a measure of your value. It's easy to fall into the trap of seeking validation from others because it provides a temporary sense of security. When someone calls, texts, or acknowledges us, it feels good. It reassures us that we matter, that we're seen, and that we're valued. But this external validation is fleeting and unreliable. It's like building a house on sand. It may stand for a while, but it can be swept away at any moment. Relying on others to affirm your worth leaves you vulnerable to their whims, moods, and priorities. If their attention wavers, so does your sense of self. This is why it's crucial to cultivate a sense of self-worth that is rooted in your own beliefs, values, and understanding of who you are. When you stop looking outward for validation and begin to find it within yourself, a profound shift occurs. You start to recognize that your value is inherent, not something that can be given or taken away. You begin to see that you are enough just as you are without needing anyone else to affirm it. This realization is empowering because it frees you from the emotional roller coaster of seeking approval. Instead of feeling anxious or upset when someone doesn't call or message, you can remain centered and confident in your own worth. This doesn't mean that you won't feel disappointed or hurt when someone you care about is unresponsive. These feelings are natural and valid, but the key is to acknowledge them without letting them define you. It's okay to feel disappointed, but it's not okay to let that disappointment spiral into self-doubt or self-criticism. Remember, your feelings are a response to the situation, not a reflection of your value. By separating your emotions from your self-worth, you can navigate these moments with greater clarity and resilience. One of the most powerful ways to reinforce your self-worth is to focus on your own needs, desires, and goals. When you prioritize yourself, you send a message to your subconscious that you are important, deserving of care and attention. This could mean pursuing a passion, investing in personal growth, or simply taking time to rest and recharge. Whatever it looks like for you, the act of prioritizing yourself strengthens your sense of self-worth and reduces your reliance on external validation. Another important aspect of internalizing your self-worth is setting boundaries. When someone's lack of attention makes you feel undervalued, it's a sign that your boundaries may need adjustment. Healthy boundaries are not about shutting people out or punishing them for their behavior. They are about protecting your energy and ensuring that your relationships are mutually respectful and fulfilling. By setting and maintaining boundaries, you create a space where your value is acknowledged and honored by both yourself and others. Ultimately, recognizing your intrinsic value is a process that requires patience, self-reflection, and practice. It's not something that happens overnight, but it's a journey worth undertaking. Every time you remind yourself that your worth is not tied to someone else's actions, you take a step toward greater self-confidence and emotional freedom. Silence carries an undeniable weight, often speaking louder than words. When someone does not call or message, the absence of communication can feel like a void, but it is a void filled with meaning. Every action or inaction communicates something, even if unintentionally. Silence can reflect a range of factors: indifference, distraction, uncertainty, or simply a shift in priorities. Whatever the reason, it is a signal worth paying attention to, not as an indictment of your worth, but as valuable feedback about where you stand in their life and how you should respond. When someone chooses not to reach out, it can be easy to fill the silence with assumptions or excuses. You may find yourself rationalizing their behavior, thinking that they must be too busy, preoccupied, or dealing with personal issues. While these explanations could be true, they should not overshadow the fundamental reality that when people care, they usually make time, even in small ways. Silence, then, becomes a way of showing you their priorities without explicitly stating them. It offers clarity, albeit in an uncomfortable form, and provides an opportunity for you to evaluate the dynamic objectively rather than clinging to wishful thinking. The discomfort of silence often pushes people into action. You might feel compelled to reach out to bridge the gap or to seek reassurance. However, this reaction, while natural, can sometimes backfire. In pursuing answers or demanding acknowledgement, you might inadvertently lower your own value in the interaction. Silence in these moments serves as a test not of your ability to wait for them, but of your ability to honor yourself. Instead of chasing their attention, the most empowering choice you can make is to embrace the silence and use it as a moment for introspection and self-assessment. Silence also allows you to observe patterns that might otherwise go unnoticed. If this absence of communication is a rare occurrence, it may not hold much significance. But when silence becomes a recurring theme, it reveals a deeper pattern of neglect or disengagement. People's behavior over time paints a clear picture of their intentions and priorities. Instead of getting caught in the emotional turmoil of the moment, take a step back and look at the broader context. Are they consistently unresponsive or indifferent? Do they only reach out when it's convenient for them? These patterns are the unspoken words of the relationship, telling you far more than their occasional texts or calls ever could. One of the most challenging aspects of interpreting silence is resisting the urge to internalize it. When someone doesn't call or message, it's tempting to believe that their lack of communication is a reflection of your worth. This couldn't be further from the truth. Their silence is not about you, it's about them. It may stem from their own insecurities, distractions, or emotional unavailability. Whatever the case, it is not a mirror of your value, but a projection of their own priorities or limitations. Recognizing this distinction is crucial because it prevents you from spiraling into unnecessary self-doubt or overanalysis. Silence is also a boundary-setting moment. It challenges you to decide what you will tolerate and what you won't. If someone's lack of communication leaves you feeling undervalued or neglected, it's a sign that your boundaries need to be reassessed. Healthy boundaries are not about punishing the other person, they're about protecting your energy and ensuring that your relationships align with your values and expectations. By choosing not to chase after someone who consistently remains silent, you assert your worth and create space for connections that are more balanced and fulfilling. In many ways, silence invites you to refocus on yourself. Instead of pouring energy into deciphering their behavior, use that energy to nurture your own growth and happiness. Engage in activities that bring you joy, pursue goals that excite you, and cultivate relationships that feel reciprocal and nourishing. The time and mental energy you save by not fixating on the silence can be redirected toward building a stronger, more resilient version of yourself. This shift in focus is not about playing games or trying to make them miss you. It's about reclaiming your power and prioritizing your own well-being. Silence can also be empowering because it allows you to maintain your dignity. When you choose not to react impulsively to someone's lack of communication, you retain control over your emotions and actions. This restraint is not a sign of weakness but of strength. It shows that you value yourself enough to resist the urge to seek validation from someone who may not be willing or able to provide it. Instead, you stand firm in your own worth, confident that you deserve better than one-sided effort or sporadic attention. While silence from others can feel isolating, it also creates an opportunity for clarity. It forces you to confront the reality of the situation without the distractions of words or gestures that might mask underlying issues. Silence strips away the superficial and reveals the core dynamics of the relationship. It is an unfiltered moment of truth, allowing you to see things as they are rather than as you wish them to be. This clarity, while uncomfortable, is a gift because it empowers you to make informed decisions about how to move forward. Emotional independence is one of the most powerful tools you can cultivate for personal fulfillment and resilience. It is the ability to detach yourself from the need for others to provide validation, support, or reassurance for your happiness. This doesn't mean rejecting relationships or isolating yourself from others. Instead, it means learning to stand strong and whole within yourself, even in the absence of external approval or connection. When someone doesn't call or message, it's easy to feel unmoored, as though their silence somehow reflects your value or importance. But emotional independence allows you to break free from this trap, recognizing that your self-worth and peace of mind are not tied to their behavior. One of the greatest misconceptions about detachment is that it involves indifference or apathy. True emotional independence is not about pretending you don't care or closing yourself off from others. It's about caring without becoming dependent. You can value someone's presence in your life while still maintaining the inner strength to thrive in their absence. This balance is the essence of detachment. It frees you from the emotional roller coaster of external validation while still allowing you to form meaningful connections. When you detach, you create space to focus on your own emotional well-being without feeling overwhelmed by someone else's actions or inactions. The need for emotional independence becomes especially apparent when communication wanes. If someone doesn't reach out, it can trigger feelings of rejection or abandonment. These emotions are deeply rooted in human nature, tied to our primal need for connection and belonging. But while these feelings are natural, they are also signals that it's time to reassess where you are placing your emotional energy. Instead of allowing their silence to dictate your feelings, emotional independence empowers you to reclaim control. You recognize that their lack of communication does not diminish your worth, nor does it have to disrupt your peace. Detachment also fosters clarity. When you are emotionally dependent on someone's attention or validation, it can cloud your judgment. You may find yourself making excuses for their behavior, ignoring red flags, or clinging to false hopes simply because you fear losing them. Emotional independence removes these blinders. It allows you to see the situation for what it is rather than what you wish it to be. You can objectively evaluate their actions and decide whether they align with your values, needs, and expectations. This clarity is liberating because it puts the power back in your hands. Instead of feeling at the mercy of their choices, you can make empowered decisions about how to proceed. Cultivating emotional independence requires self-awareness and practice. It begins with acknowledging your own needs and learning to meet them yourself. Often people look to others to fill emotional voids or provide a sense of security. While relationships can enhance our lives, they are not a substitute for self-love and self-care. By learning to nurture yourself emotionally, you build a foundation of inner strength that cannot be shaken by someone else's absence or indifference. This might mean developing healthy coping mechanisms, practicing mindfulness, or seeking support from a trusted friend or therapist. Whatever form it takes, the goal is to become your own source of comfort and stability. Another aspect of emotional independence is setting boundaries. When you detach from the need for external validation, you become more attuned to your own limits and priorities. You no longer feel compelled to chase after someone who doesn't reciprocate your efforts or compromise your well-being to maintain a connection. Instead, you can set and enforce boundaries that protect your energy and uphold your self-respect. This might mean choosing not to reach out to someone who consistently neglects to initiate contact, or deciding to step back from a relationship that feels one-sided. Boundaries are not about shutting people out, but about creating a healthy dynamic where your needs are valued and respected. Detachment also allows you to embrace uncertainty. One of the most challenging aspects of someone's silence is the ambiguity it creates. Without clear communication, it's easy to fall into a spiral of overthinking and second-guessing. But emotional independence helps you find peace in the unknown. Instead of fixating on why they haven't called or what their silence means, you can focus on what is within your control, your own thoughts, feelings, and actions. This shift in focus reduces anxiety and helps you stay grounded even in uncertain circumstances. At its core, emotional independence is about reclaiming your power. When you detach from the need for others to validate your worth or dictate your happiness, you become the author of your own story. You are no longer defined by how others treat you, but by how you choose to respond. This shift is transformative because it frees you from the emotional highs and lows of dependence and allows you to build a life that is rooted in your own values, passions, and aspirations. When you choose to value yourself more in the face of someone's silence, you are engaging in an act of self-respect and self-preservation. It is an acknowledgement that your worth is not dependent on anyone else's behavior, attention, or approval. Often people look outward for validation, seeking affirmation in the form of calls, messages, or gestures from others. The absence of such actions can create a sense of insecurity, as though your importance is diminished when someone does not reach out. However, valuing yourself more is about recognizing that you are worthy of respect, love, and attention without having to chase it or prove it to others. It is a mindset shift that allows you to take control of your own emotional well-being and assert your right to be treated with dignity. The concept of self-value is rooted in the understanding that you are enough as you are, independent of external validation. Too often, people place their sense of self-worth in the hands of others, allowing their mood and emotional state to be determined by someone else's actions. If someone doesn't call or message, they may start to question their own attractiveness, likability, or significance. This is a dangerous cycle because it leaves your emotional well-being in the hands of someone who may not even recognize the importance of your feelings. By choosing to value yourself more, you break free from this pattern. You refuse to let anyone else's silence dictate how you feel about yourself. When you start valuing yourself, you develop an inner standard for how you want to be treated. This standard is not based on what others can give you, but on what you are willing to accept. It becomes clear that you will not settle for anything less than respect, appreciation, and reciprocity. If someone's actions or lack thereof fall short of this standard, you are no longer afraid to walk away or let go. This does not come from a place of bitterness or anger, but from a deep understanding that your time, energy, and emotions are precious. You deserve relationships that add value to your life, not drain you or leave you questioning your worth. Valuing yourself more also means prioritizing your own needs and desires. Often when people are emotionally invested in someone else, they may neglect their own well-being in favor of pleasing the other person. They might feel compelled to keep reaching out, even when the other person doesn't reciprocate, in the hopes of getting a response or fixing the situation. This behavior stems from a lack of self-worth, as the individual believes that they must earn attention or love. When you value yourself, however, you recognize that your time and energy are not commodities to be traded. You do not need to prove your value by constantly seeking validation. Instead, you focus on your own growth, happiness, and fulfillment, which in turn strengthens your sense of self-worth. Choosing to value yourself more requires self-awareness and introspection. It involves acknowledging your strengths, your qualities, and your past accomplishments. It means accepting your imperfections and understanding that you are constantly evolving. This level of self-awareness empowers you to see your worth beyond the opinions of others. You are not defined by their approval or lack thereof. Your worth is intrinsic and cannot be dictated by the fleeting behaviors of those around you. When you internalize this, it becomes easier to distance yourself from situations or people that do not honor your value. Self-value also fosters a sense of independence. It is the understanding that your happiness and contentment are not reliant on anyone else. This doesn't mean that you cannot enjoy meaningful relationships or seek connection. Rather, it means that you can experience joy and fulfillment on your own without needing someone else to validate or define it. When you are emotionally independent, you no longer need to chase after someone's approval or attention to feel good about yourself. You create your own sense of peace and satisfaction, and you allow others to complement that rather than complete it. Furthermore, valuing yourself leads to stronger boundaries. When you recognize your own worth, you set clear expectations for how you want to be treated. Boundaries are not about creating walls to shut people out. Rather, they are about ensuring that you are treated with respect, consideration, and kindness. If someone fails to meet these basic standards, valuing yourself more means being able to walk away without guilt or hesitation. It is about protecting your emotional energy and ensuring that you are not continuously investing in situations that are one-sided or unfulfilling. Additionally, valuing yourself is about taking responsibility for your own happiness. It is easy to fall into the trap of thinking that someone else should make you feel good, happy, or fulfilled. However, this mindset places the power for your emotional well-being outside of your control. When you value yourself, you understand that your happiness is your own responsibility. You are the one who creates joy in your life, and you do so by engaging in activities and relationships that align with your values and bring you fulfillment. By taking ownership of your own happiness, you free yourself from the dependency on someone else's actions or behaviors. This shift in perspective is liberating because it allows you to experience life with a sense of peace and empowerment. Instead of feeling unsettled or anxious when someone doesn't call or message, you can focus on your own growth goals and aspirations. You do not need someone else to confirm your worth. You know who you are, what you bring to the table, and the value you offer. And this knowledge becomes the foundation for a healthy, fulfilling life that is rooted in self-respect and personal strength. When you begin to prioritize yourself and understand your own worth, it naturally leads to healthier relationships. In a world where connection with others is often sought for validation or reassurance, many individuals find themselves entangled in one-sided relationships where they give more than they receive. This dynamic often leaves people feeling drained, undervalued, and uncertain about their place in the relationship. However, when you start to value yourself, you set a precedent for how you want to be treated, ensuring that you engage in relationships that are rooted in mutual respect, reciprocity, and understanding. The first step in fostering healthier relationships through self-value is recognizing that your time, energy, and emotions are valuable commodities. When someone does not call or message, it's important to understand that their behavior is a reflection of their priorities, not your worth. Often people internalize silence or neglect, thinking that it's a personal rejection, but this is a mistake. By valuing yourself, you avoid taking others' actions too personally. You create space for yourself to decide whether you want to continue to invest in the relationship based on how it aligns with your values and needs, rather than out of desperation for someone's attention or approval. Valuing yourself means developing a sense of clarity about your needs, desires, and boundaries. It becomes easier to identify relationships that are toxic, draining, or unfulfilling. You can look at your interactions with others through a more objective lens, recognizing when someone is consistently taking without giving, or when their actions leave you feeling uncertain, unimportant, or unappreciated. These are signals that should not be ignored. And when you value yourself, you are empowered to step away from relationships that do not meet your standards. This may be difficult, especially when emotions are involved, but setting boundaries that reflect your self-worth ensures that you are not continuously compromising yourself for the sake of someone else's behavior. As you begin to value yourself more, you also develop a deeper sense of self-respect. Self-respect is the cornerstone of any healthy relationship. When you respect yourself, you communicate your boundaries clearly and assertively. You do not allow anyone to treat you in ways that do not reflect your value. This doesn't mean being rigid or inflexible, but rather being firm in knowing what you deserve and are willing to accept. Healthy relationships require mutual respect. And when you respect yourself, you create a foundation for others to do the same. By demonstrating your own self-worth, you encourage others to mirror that respect and uphold the standards you have set. Furthermore, valuing yourself enables you to communicate more effectively. One of the main reasons relationships falter is due to poor communication or a lack of honest expression. People who struggle with self-worth often suppress their feelings, afraid of conflict or rejection. However, when you value yourself, you become more comfortable with expressing your thoughts, needs, and desires openly and honestly. You recognize that your voice matters and you deserve to have your feelings heard and understood. By fostering open communication, you create an environment of trust and understanding, which is essential for any relationship to thrive. In turn, this strengthens the connection you have with others as it encourages both parties to be more honest, vulnerable, and empathetic. In healthy relationships, there is also a balance of give and take. Valuing yourself means you understand that you deserve to receive as much as you give. Many people in one-sided relationships continue to pour their energy, love, and care into others, hoping for a return, but they often find themselves empty and unfulfilled. When you value yourself, you shift the focus from what you can give to what you are also receiving in return. You stop settling for relationships where your needs are constantly neglected or overlooked, and instead you attract relationships that are balanced, supportive, and mutually beneficial. This shift is not only empowering, but also creates space for relationships that nourish and uplift you rather than deplete you. As you embrace your own worth, you also cultivate a stronger sense of emotional independence. When you rely on others for validation or approval, you open yourself up to being hurt, disappointed, or manipulated. However, when you value yourself, your emotional well-being no longer depends on someone else's actions. You begin to rely on your own inner strength, learning to find peace and contentment within yourself. This emotional independence is not about detaching from others or avoiding emotional connection, but about ensuring that your sense of self does not fluctuate based on someone else's behavior. When you are emotionally independent, you are free to engage in relationships that are authentic and enriching without the fear of being overly dependent on the other person for your happiness. Lastly, when you value yourself, you begin to attract healthier relationships into your life. People who recognize their own worth tend to surround themselves with others who also respect themselves and have high standards. This creates a positive feedback loop where everyone in the relationship strives to contribute to its growth and success. You naturally begin to attract individuals who share your values, respect your boundaries, and support your goals. These types of relationships are fulfilling and enriching as they provide a sense of partnership and teamwork rather than competition or imbalance. In such relationships, both people grow together, encouraging one another to be their best selves and to pursue their individual dreams while also supporting each other's collective aspirations. The result is a deeper, more meaningful connection that transcends superficial interactions and fosters long-term fulfillment and happiness. By valuing yourself, you not only change the way you view others, but also the way they view you. People who respect themselves and set high standards for the way they are treated tend to attract others who respect them in return. This dynamic creates a positive environment where mutual respect, understanding, and support can flourish. As you continue to prioritize your own well-being, you become a magnet for healthy, fulfilling relationships that are built on a foundation of equality, trust, and appreciation. When you value yourself more, you develop a deeper sense of inner peace and emotional stability that is not easily shaken by external circumstances or the actions of others. The key to emotional stability lies in the ability to rely on your inner resources rather than seeking constant validation or reassurance from the outside world. Too often, people tie their sense of emotional security to other people's opinions, behaviors, or actions. If someone doesn't call, message, or respond, it can send waves of doubt and insecurity crashing through your emotions, making you feel as though your worth is somehow diminished. However, when you start to value yourself more, you begin to build an internal foundation of emotional resilience that allows you to remain calm and centered, regardless of what is happening around you. This inner peace begins with the recognition that your value is not dependent on someone else's actions. You learn to detach from the need for validation because you understand that you are inherently valuable, regardless of whether or not someone reaches out to you. By releasing the need to constantly check your phone or obsess over missed messages or calls, you free yourself from the emotional turmoil that often comes with seeking external approval. This detachment does not mean that you are indifferent to others or that you lack empathy, but rather that you are no longer letting someone else's behavior dictate how you feel about yourself. You stop allowing external events to control your emotional state and instead take full responsibility for your own feelings and responses. Emotional stability comes from within. And when you value yourself, you cultivate the ability to regulate your emotions rather than allowing them to fluctuate based on external stimuli. This is particularly powerful in relationships where the unpredictability of another person's actions can often lead to feelings of anxiety, frustration, or confusion. When you become more emotionally stable, you no longer feel the need to react impulsively or emotionally when someone does not meet your expectations. Instead, you learn to approach the situation with calm and clarity, able to see it for what it is without overthinking or assuming the worst. You recognize that someone's silence or absence is not necessarily a reflection of your worth, but rather a sign that they may be going through their own personal issues or that their actions do not align with your values. As you begin to value yourself more, you also cultivate greater self-compassion. Self-compassion involves treating yourself with kindness and understanding, especially in moments of difficulty or emotional pain. It is easy to be hard on yourself when you feel rejected, ignored, or unimportant, but self-compassion allows you to acknowledge your feelings without judgment and to offer yourself the same care and understanding you would give to a friend in a similar situation. When you experience emotional pain due to someone's lack of attention or affection, self-compassion enables you to sit with those feelings, acknowledge their validity, and gently remind yourself that your worth is not tied to anyone else's behavior. You allow yourself the space to heal without rushing the process or berating yourself for feeling hurt. In addition to self-compassion, emotional stability comes from cultivating a healthy relationship with your thoughts. When you value yourself, you become more aware of the negative thought patterns that may arise in response to perceived rejection or neglect. Rather than allowing these thoughts to spiral and control your emotions, you learn to observe them without attachment. You recognize that thoughts are just that, thoughts, and do not have to dictate your reality. For example, if someone doesn't call or message, your initial thought may be, they don't care about me, but when you value yourself, you learn to challenge that thought. You ask yourself, is that true? What other possible explanations could there be? By questioning your thoughts, you gain greater control over your emotional state and prevent negative patterns from taking root. You recognize that just because you feel something, it doesn't necessarily reflect the truth of the situation. This ability to regulate your emotions also enhances your overall mental health. Emotional stability reduces anxiety, stress, and the constant worry about what others think or whether they will reach out. When you are no longer reliant on someone else to validate your worth, you experience a sense of freedom and relief from the mental burdens that often accompany feelings of insecurity. You become less focused on external approval and more focused on your own personal growth, goals, and happiness. This shift allows you to make decisions based on what is best for you rather than trying to please others or fit into someone else's expectations. You begin to prioritize your own well-being, creating an environment in which emotional stability can flourish. Another important aspect of emotional stability that comes from valuing yourself is the ability to navigate challenges with resilience. Life is full of ups and downs, and it is inevitable that you will face difficult situations, whether in relationships, work, or personal growth. When you have a strong sense of self-worth, you approach challenges with confidence, knowing that your value is not determined by the outcome of any particular situation. Even if someone does not call or message, or if a relationship ends, you are able to process the experience without losing your sense of self. You understand that setbacks are a natural part of life and that they do not diminish your worth. Instead of allowing yourself to spiral into self-doubt or emotional turmoil, you view challenges as opportunities for growth and learning. The emotional stability that comes from valuing yourself also allows you to experience deeper, more meaningful connections with others. When you are emotionally stable, you are not constantly seeking reassurance or validation from others. This makes it easier to engage in relationships that are grounded in mutual respect, trust, and understanding. You are no longer dependent on someone else's actions to feel good about yourself, which frees you to give and receive love in a healthier, more balanced way. You can engage with others from a place of strength, knowing that you are whole and complete on your own, and that relationships are about sharing your lives, not filling a void. Ultimately, valuing yourself is the key to emotional freedom. It empowers you to live a life that is not dictated by the actions of others or the uncertainty of external events. When you value yourself, you are able to create a stable, peaceful foundation that allows you to navigate life's challenges with grace and resilience. Emotional stability becomes an internal compass that guides you through every situation, helping you stay centered, calm, and confident in your own worth. It is a powerful tool that enables you to embrace life fully without being swayed by the opinions or behaviors of those around you. When you begin to value yourself, you open the door to true personal growth and self-discovery. This process of personal transformation requires deep introspection and a commitment to breaking free from old habits, thought patterns, and beliefs that no longer serve you. The act of valuing yourself isn't simply about recognizing your worth in relation to others, but about understanding and nurturing your potential, dreams, and desires. It's about recognizing that you deserve to live a fulfilling, meaningful life and that this journey starts from within. It's an ongoing process of growth, self-exploration, and pushing beyond the boundaries of what you thought was possible. Valuing yourself means shifting from a mindset of scarcity to one of abundance. When you place value on yourself, You begin to see the infinite potential within you. You realize that you are capable of achieving greatness and that the only limits are the ones you impose on yourself. This shift in mindset is empowering because it encourages you to pursue your dreams without fear of failure or judgment. You start to see obstacles not as barriers, but as opportunities for growth. You begin to approach life with a sense of curiosity and determination, knowing that every challenge you face is an opportunity to become stronger, wiser, and more resilient. Personal growth also involves embracing change and letting go of old, limiting beliefs that may have been ingrained in you over time. Many people are trapped by the narratives they have been told or the stories they have internalized about who they are and what they are capable of achieving. These narratives can hold you back, preventing you from stepping into your full potential. But when you value yourself, you realize that these old beliefs no longer have power over you. You begin to challenge the stories you've been told, rewriting your narrative to reflect the person you want to become. This process requires vulnerability and courage, but it also leads to a deep sense of empowerment and freedom. One of the most profound aspects of personal growth is the ability to step into your authentic self. Many people go through life wearing masks or trying to fit into societal expectations, often sacrificing their true identity in the process. However, when you value yourself, you stop pretending to be someone you're not. You stop trying to live up to others' expectations and start living authentically. You begin to honor your own values, preferences, and desires, and you stop apologizing for who you are. This authenticity is magnetic, attracting people and opportunities that align with your true self. As you embrace your authenticity, you also create space for others to do the same, fostering relationships that are based on mutual respect, understanding, and acceptance. Through personal growth, you also develop a greater sense of emotional intelligence. As you value yourself more, you become more attuned to your emotions, thoughts, and behaviors. You learn to recognize when something doesn't feel right, when you're being pulled out of alignment with your values, or when you need to set boundaries to protect your peace. Emotional intelligence allows you to make better decisions, communicate more effectively, and manage stress more efficiently. It also enhances your relationships as you become more empathetic and compassionate toward others. You begin to understand that everyone is on their own journey, and that emotional intelligence enables you to connect with others on a deeper, more meaningful level. Personal growth also involves the cultivation of resilience. Life is unpredictable, and setbacks are inevitable. However, when you value yourself, you develop the resilience to bounce back from adversity. You understand that setbacks are not permanent and that they do not define your worth. Rather than allowing challenges to derail your progress, you see them as opportunities to learn, adapt, and grow. Resilience enables you to maintain a positive mindset even in the face of difficulties, and it strengthens your ability to stay focused on your long-term goals. This resilience is key to overcoming obstacles, achieving your dreams, and building the life you truly desire. Furthermore, valuing yourself fosters a sense of self-discipline, which is essential for personal growth. Self-discipline allows you to take consistent action toward your goals, even when motivation wanes or obstacles arise. When you value yourself, you recognize that achieving your dreams requires consistent effort and commitment. Self-discipline empowers you to stay on track, even when it feels difficult or when the path forward is unclear. You begin to develop habits that support your personal growth, such as setting clear goals, maintaining a positive mindset, and prioritizing your time and energy effectively. This commitment to self-discipline leads to greater success and fulfillment in all areas of your life. As you continue to value yourself, you also begin to surround yourself with people who support your growth and encourage you to reach your full potential. Personal growth is not a solitary journey, and having the right people in your life is crucial for your development. When you value yourself, you become more discerning about the relationships you cultivate. You seek out people who inspire you, challenge you, and push you to be the best version of yourself. These relationships serve as a source of strength, motivation, and accountability. They encourage you to keep growing even when things get tough, and they celebrate your successes along the way. In turn, you become a source of inspiration and support for others, creating a community of growth, mutual respect, and empowerment. Another important aspect of personal growth that comes from valuing yourself is the development of a strong sense of purpose. When you value yourself, you begin to clarify what truly matters to you, what you are passionate about, and what you want to contribute to the world. This sense of purpose gives your life direction and meaning, and it fuels your motivation to take action. It becomes easier to make decisions that align with your values and long-term goals because you are guided by a clear sense of purpose. This sense of purpose also enables you to persevere through challenges as you understand that every setback is simply a part of your journey toward fulfilling your mission. As you value yourself more, you also create space for self-care and well-being. Personal growth requires that you take care of yourself both physically and mentally. When you value yourself, you understand that you cannot pour from an empty cup. You prioritize your health, well-being, and happiness, recognizing that self-care is not selfish but necessary for your growth and success. Whether it's through exercise, meditation, reading, or simply taking time for yourself, self-care nourishes your mind, body, and spirit, enabling you to show up as the best version of yourself in every area of your life. The journey of personal growth is a lifelong process, one that requires patience, self-compassion, and a willingness to evolve. By valuing yourself, you unlock the potential for continuous growth, self-discovery, and transformation. You stop living for others and start living for yourself, embracing the unique person you are and the limitless possibilities that lie ahead. As you continue on this journey, you become more confident, resilient, and empowered, equipped to face whatever challenges come your way and to create the life you have always dreamed of. When you begin to truly value yourself, you naturally stop seeking validation from others. This is one of the most profound shifts you can experience on your journey to personal growth. We live in a world that is constantly telling us that our worth is defined by external factors, the opinions of others, societal standards, material success, or romantic relationships. However, none of these things can truly define who you are or your value as an individual. Your value has always existed within you. And it is only when you begin to recognize this that you stop relying on others to affirm your worth. Seeking validation from others is a common human tendency. Many of us grow up being conditioned to look to others for approval, love, or affirmation. This might have started with our parents, teachers, or peers, but over time, this behavior can extend into all areas of our lives. Whether it's in the workplace, in social settings, or in intimate relationships, we may find ourselves constantly looking for external signs that we are good enough, capable enough, or lovable enough. However, when we value ourselves, we no longer need to seek external validation because we already know our worth. We trust in our own abilities and feel confident in the person we are, regardless of what others may think or say. This shift in mindset has a powerful effect on the way you approach life and relationships. When you no longer seek validation from others, you become less influenced by their opinions and judgments. You stop compromising your values, desires, and dreams to fit into someone else's expectations. You start making decisions that align with your true self, not with what others think you should do. This is incredibly liberating because it allows you to pursue your own path with confidence and authenticity. You stop living for the approval of others and start living for yourself. Furthermore, as you stop seeking validation, you begin to cultivate a deeper sense of inner peace and contentment. Validation from others is fleeting, often temporary, and can be inconsistent. One moment you may feel praised and appreciated, but the next you may face criticism or indifference. When your sense of worth is dependent on the validation of others, it creates a constant cycle of emotional highs and lows. You become emotionally attached to how others perceive you, which can lead to feelings of insecurity, anxiety, and frustration. However, when you learn to value yourself, your sense of self-worth becomes rooted in who you are, not in how others see you. This internal validation creates a deep sense of peace because it is unshakable and not influenced by external circumstances. One of the most significant benefits of valuing yourself and stopping the need for external validation is that you begin to attract people who genuinely appreciate you for who you are. When you are confident in your worth, you no longer tolerate relationships or interactions that diminish your value. You become selective about the people you allow into your life because you recognize that your time and energy are valuable. This doesn't mean you become closed off or overly critical of others, but it means you begin to surround yourself with individuals who uplift, support, and respect you. You start to create a circle of people who encourage your growth and celebrate your success rather than people who bring negativity or criticism into your life. This shift allows you to build deeper, more meaningful connections based on mutual respect, understanding, and appreciation. By not seeking validation, you also free yourself from the pressures of trying to live up to unrealistic expectations. Society often sets standards for success, beauty, wealth, and happiness that are unattainable or misleading. We are bombarded with images and messages that tell us how we should look, act, or achieve in order to be considered successful or worthy. However, when you stop seeking validation from society or others, you begin to define success on your own terms. You create your own standards for what makes you feel fulfilled, successful, and happy. This autonomy allows you to live a life that is true to who you are, rather than one dictated by external expectations. This shift also empowers you to pursue your passions without fear of judgment. Often we hesitate to follow our dreams or take risks because we worry about what others might think. We fear that we will be criticized, rejected, or judged for stepping outside the norm. However, when you value yourself, you recognize that your passions, goals, and desires are valid regardless of how others perceive them. You become more willing to take bold action, try new things, and follow the path that feels right to you without worrying about the opinions of others. This bravery opens the door to new opportunities and experiences, allowing you to grow and thrive in ways you never imagined. In relationships, stopping the need for validation allows you to build healthier, more balanced connections. When we seek validation from others, we often enter relationships with a sense of dependency, expecting the other person to fulfill emotional needs that we are not meeting ourselves. This creates an imbalance as we rely on the other person to make us feel good about ourselves rather than cultivating that sense of self-worth within. However, when you value yourself, you approach relationships from a place of completeness. You no longer expect someone else to complete you because you are already whole. You enter relationships with the intention of sharing love, respect, and support, not seeking to fill an emotional void. This leads to more fulfilling and authentic relationships where both partners can grow and evolve together without relying on each other for constant affirmation. In the workplace, not seeking validation can also significantly enhance your performance and success. Many people constantly seek approval from their bosses or colleagues, hoping that recognition or praise will validate their worth. While recognition is important, when you value yourself, you don't rely on external praise to feel confident in your ability.